How are you doing, guys? And welcome back to TSTV. Apologies for the last couple of weeks. A bit slow on the recordings. I've been having some technical issues, but I seem to be back up and running now, which is fantastic. Now, usually it's unusual for me to do a Sunday video because I'm going to do a quick match review of Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1. I will then do a more in-depth review of all the Premier League games the weekend tomorrow, but I felt that I had to sort of address this game properly on its own merits because from a Chelsea perspective, which is what I'm going to lean on, was just an absolute disaster yesterday from start to finish. And yeah, I'm sick of playing at Old Trafford, man. I'm sick of playing up there every single year for the last, I think it's 13 years now that we haven't won there. We find creative ways to drop points or lose games. And look, yesterday I was pretty confident. I thought that when I saw the lineup, I really like the team. Obviously, United have been carrying on their abysmal form this season. They'd already lost 2 games against City and Arsenal. They'd obviously lost to Grimsby in the Cup. And I really felt that we could put in a good performance. I thought against Bayern in the week that we did well at times, gave away some really, really poor goals. And just like the Brentford game last week, played really well in the second half, gave away a really, really poor goal. But I thought and hoped that we're coming up against a really bad Man United team that lacking confidence with a manager under pressure that we could really step up. And obviously that didn't happen at all. I think first of all, the start of the game, we started quite slowly, didn't come out the traps at all. United had a couple of early chances, but look, that can happen. They're going to be bang up for it. It's a Saturday evening kickoff. They've had a full week to prepare for the game, and they were always going to come out and be on the front foot and have that intensity. And it's just about riding that out, really, from our perspective. So I wasn't too surprised that they started quickly and we started a little bit slowly, but you just got to get through that first 10, 15 minutes, get your foot on the ball. And I think as soon as we would have got our foot on the ball, and if we kept 11 versus 11, I think we would have won that game. And then, look, there's 2 strands of blame here. Now, first of all, Robert Sanchez, for the challenge he commits against Mbeumo, is just absolutely brain dead. Absolutely brain dead. We were watching it in a pub, and from the minute he makes the challenge, the minute you can see him coming out, like, you already know it's a red card. You already know it's basically over and he's going to get sent off after 4 or 5 minutes. And that creates a really uphill struggle for the rest of the game. And it was a red card. I know I've seen a few people try and claim that Fofana and Tosin, or no, it wasn't Tosin at the time, Chalobah could have got back, but it was a red card, pure and simple. And at that point in the game, and this is my issue with Robert Sanchez, and it's probably why I don't blame him as much as Maresca, which I will come onto in a minute, is because I expect this from Robert Sanchez. This is the Robert Sanchez we know. He can be a fantastic shot stopper. He made some great saves in the week against Bayern Munich. We know he can do that. We know he can save expected goals and shots that maybe other goalkeepers can't. That's one of the plus points of his game. But his commanding of the box, his distribution, and his decision-making are what let him down from being a top goalkeeper to being at best an average goalkeeper. And in that situation, you need to, as a top goalkeeper or a top player even, use your head 5 minutes into the game. Even if Mbeumo goes round you, he still may not score. It was a fair way out, and there were a couple of defenders that were coming back to put pressure on him. But even if he does put the ball in the net, you still have 90-odd minutes to get back into the game. And look, it's a captain hindsight thing, but if Mbeumo goes through, scores, and there's still 90-odd minutes left, I would still expect us and backed us to have got back into win that game. I would have done, because we are a much better team than Manchester United. Now, I know a lot of Man United fans will be coming on and saying, how can you be a better team than us? You never win at Old Trafford. We beat you. Blah, 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 blah. But we are a better team, man for man, than Manchester United. The last thing you want to do in that situation is basically leave yourself at a disadvantage for the whole game. And look, it was an absolute bozo moment for Sanchez, and he let the team down, pure and simple. But again, I blame him, but not as much as other people, because we know that's Robert Sanchez. We know that's what he does. The reason why we were hoping as a fan base to get a top goalkeeper in the summer is because we know that Robert Sanchez is going to cost us points at various points in various games. And it won't be the last time this season that he cost us points by making a really stupid, rash decision. That's what happened. Again, for the life of me, I don't understand why the board just didn't sanction that £18 million move for Mike Maignan. We spent £100 million on Garnacho and Gittins, who can't even get off the bench when we're losing a game. You could think that you could use some of that money to get a centre-back, a top centre-back, a goalkeeper, a top goalkeeper, one of the world's best. But no, we didn't. And again, it's just going to completely, cost us for the whole season because, again, at various points, he's going to have games where he has a good game and saves shots that he shouldn't save. But he's also going to have more moments like this. And it's just so beyond frustrating, man. So beyond frustrating. And again, that's on the board. That's on the directors. Maybe that's a time for another video. But again, they've completely let the team down, let the fan base down, let the manager down with absolute nonsense window that they had post-Club World Cup. And I think that's the most demoralising thing, right, is that after the Club World Cup, after that game against PSG, I was so excited. Everyone was so excited. We got Champions League football. We're world champions. You're sitting there thinking, now we can go out and make a statement. And as I mentioned before, I'm not going out and signing Isak for 130 million or whatever, but going out and signing top proven players, or even players like João Pedro, who are still fairly young, but have got a lot of experience and are just very good footballers that can come in and help the team now. But that's not what we did. That is not what we did. And as I said, it feels like we've completely curtailed any hopes of us doing anything this season. And that's obviously a bigger picture thing. But in terms of this game, Sanchez, absolute clown, absolute bozo moment. But the reason I don't blame Sanchez as much as I blame Maresca is after Sanchez did what he did, Maresca completely panicked. Completely panicked. I mean, it was like a rabbit in the headlights stuff. It's like I've seen a few other people use this analogy. It's like he was playing FIFA and then he's just thrown his controller against the wall and given up on the game. We're not talking about Liverpool here. We're not talking about PSG. We're not talking about Arsenal. We're not talking about Real Madrid. We're talking about a really bang average Man United team. A really bang average Man United team. He takes Esteval off. Okay, as soon as that red card happens, I knew pretty much Esteval would come off. He's a young player and we need to bring a goalkeeper on. And he got Jeremy Boga, essentially, although Esteval will play a lot more for Chelsea Football Club than Jeremy Boga did. So that's fine. And then, as I said, I was watching it in a pub and then I see Pedro Neto coming off for Tosin. And no word of a lie, everyone in the pub just couldn't believe it. It was like that, that whole hubbub of when people are going like, what the fuck's he doing? Like, what is he doing? Like, what is going on here? Because at that point in the game, it's still 0-0. There's a long way to go. But someone like Pedro Neto, who works extremely hard off the ball, that is one thing you can never deny him. But he's also very, very good on transition and in the counter-attack. And United are going to have a lot of the ball with 11 men. I know subsequently they go down to 10 men later in the game. But you've taken off one of your main weapons that can help you get yourself up the pitch, create a chance, start spreading some doubt into the Manchester United players and their fans. And I felt it sent completely the wrong message to the fan base. As I said, I can only speak for where I was watching it. It was like, well, the game's done because we've just gone and put a back five out and we got one attacker on the pitch. We had two attackers on the pitch, but Cole Palmer obviously comes off a few minutes later. And this is another one of my issues, right? And again, maybe I'm jumping ahead. Maresca came out and said after the game that Cole wasn't 100% fit, that he'd not trained that much this week since Bayern Munich, and he was feeling his groin a little bit. So why in that case, if he is not 100% fit, why didn't he come off for Jorgensen? I know a lot of people would have been up in arms, but I think people would have got that explanation, because if he wasn't fit and he was going to struggle 11 versus 11, then why would you risk leaving him on 10 versus 11 and then have to take him off anyway? You could have taken Palmer off, put Jorgensen on, and then had Esteval and Neto still on the pitch. You could have, even if you wanted to go to a back five, you could have moved Cucurella to left centre back, could have put Neto left wing back, and had Esteval and João Pedro up front. And that way, you've solidified the base in your team, but you've also still got that real threat. So I can't believe that even if Maresca knew, and it almost makes it worse for me, if he knew that he wasn't 100% fit, then why did he keep him on just to take him off 10 minutes later anyway? And again, at that point in the game, we bring Andre Santos on. We got one attacker on the pitch in João Pedro. Now, João Pedro, I'm going to give him his flowers. He worked his absolute arse off up there for no service, to no avail really from his point of view, but he was very unselfish and did the work of about 3 different players. But there was no one in the game that can support him. And my issue with Maresca is he's totally panicked. He's not sat for 10, 15 minutes and let the game breathe and gone, right, okay, you need to get Jorgensen on, fine. But in terms of the rest of the team, let's maybe keep it as it is for now. And let's look at the direction of the way the game's going. And then maybe we can take a decision in 15, 20 minutes time about the other substitutions. He was a rabbit in the headlights for me. And again, a more experienced manager, and I'm not gonna sit here and say Maresca out or Maresca should go or whatever. That's just totally ridiculous, and I still back him. But you can still criticize him for when he's had a really, really bad game, and it was his worst game in a Chelsea manager for me in terms of his tactics and the way he set the team up after going down to 10 men. And from that point on, it was basically just staying in the game for 90 odd minutes. And obviously, Man United go 1-0 up, they go 2-0 up. Absolutely calamitous defending from us. I mean, the goals we've given away this season so far have been nothing short of disgraceful. I mean, talk about shooting yourselves in the foot. I mean, even the Paquetá one from 40 yards against West Ham, Esteval giving the ball away. Sanchez should save it. Caicedo should close him down. Just totally avoidable. And for the rest of the game, we were pretty much hamstrung. And then obviously we get a lifeline at half time or just before half time where Casemiro gets sent off. So there's a chance we can get back into this game. Now, in the second half, I'm expecting Maresca to go, okay, let's bring some attackers on now. But he waits 20 minutes. And then the subs he brings on, Augusto at left wing back, who has never scored a career goal, isn't even really much of a threat at right back, let alone left wing back. And he brings on Tyreek George, who only 2 weeks ago, we'd agreed to send him to Fulham. He was on his way, he was at the training ground, but Fulham had to pull out in the last minute. And all of a sudden, he's coming on ahead of our two wingers that we spent £100 million on, a winger and Garnacho who had a real point to prove in this game and to stick it to his old team, who at this moment has more experience and a bit more quality than Tyreek, who I think has struggled in the last few games when he's come on. But they don't use him. And Tyreek was out the door. And then Mark Guéhi, who was brought back as a striker, we don't bring him on to play him up front. We put Tyreek there instead. And the changes throughout the game just left me totally baffled. Like, totally baffled. And again, it raises big questions over whether Maresca rates or trusts Garnacho or Gittins. My idea is that he doesn't. He obviously doesn't trust Mark Guéhi either. Yeah, I mean, it completely hamstrung us throughout that game. I mean, I never saw us getting back into it. I know we do late on with 10 minutes to go through Trevor Chalobah. He plants a really good header into the bottom corner. I thought he had a poor game pretty much up until that point as well. And then we have a chance sort of goalmouth scramble in the last minute, but we didn't create anything really. And at 2-0 down with half an hour to go, at least even with the mistakes he's made earlier in the game, you need to go for it. You've got nothing to lose at that point. And United was sinking deeper and deeper back into their back line. And Maresca completely bottled it. He did. He had his worst game as a manager at Chelsea Football Club so far for me. Again, I mean, I think the reason afterwards he said he didn't bring Garnacho off was because Fofana was injured, but we had extra defenders on the pitch anyway, so that doesn't sit right with me. I think what it was is when Garnacho was warming up and it looked like he was going to come on, the Man United fans started really singing anti-Garnacho songs and started getting up, and I think maybe he's thought, well, if I bring him on, that's going to kind of get the blood pumping in them even more, and it could make it even more difficult. But that's not the way to go, man. You've just got to try and win the game that's in front of you. So, yeah, I'm so disappointed in Maresca yesterday because, again, a more experienced manager, if you had Pete Mourinho, Ancelotti, Tuchel, Conte. Okay, maybe not Conte. He would have gone even more defensive than Maresca. But I think Ancelotti, Tuchel, and Pete Mourinho specifically, even in that situation against the Man United team we were playing against, down to 10 men, I still think they win that game. I still think they find a way to win that game, especially as obviously United go down to 10 men themselves. I still think they find a way to get it over the line. And again, that's not a dig at Maresca. He is an inexperienced manager at this point. I think he's done a really good job at this point, and he's still learning. But yeah, again, those managers, I think, would have sat there with a cool head. They would have let the game breathe, and then they would have maybe taken a decision if they felt that they need to. Maresca didn't do that yesterday. He completely shit the bed. He completely panicked. And again, it's okay to criticise Maresca. It's okay to be very critical of him. Doesn't mean I want him sacked. Doesn't mean I want him gone. Doesn't mean I think he's a shit manager. Doesn't mean I think he's doing a bad job. Again, I can't blame him for Sanchez doing what he did. You can't really blame him for defenders not jumping to head the ball when Reece James makes a bad clearance for the second goal. You can't blame him for that. The way he set his team up tactically after the red card, the decisions he made to try and affect the game completely sort of negated any chance really of us getting back into it other than United getting a red card and that was a bit of luck. It wasn't really by design. So really poor from him, poor from the whole team. The only players that I think come out of it with any credit are João Pedro because of how hard he worked, and Reece James was very, very good second half. But very, very dispiriting game. It's been a dispiriting week, to be honest, after Brentford conceding the last minute. The Bayern Munich game, there were some good things in that, but ultimately the goals we gave away were just appalling. And then yesterday, just against an appalling Man United team, just completely gifting the game on a plate to them. As I said, I think with 11 we would have won the game, but if my mum was a man, she'd be my dad. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter now. You've got to play the game that's in front of you. Just so disappointing. And again, now we're already, I think, 7 points off Liverpool. We got them in a couple of games' time. We got Brighton at home and Liverpool at home. And obviously, look, if you beat Benfica in Champions League, if you beat Lincoln, you beat Liverpool and Brighton, things start looking a little bit up again going into the international break. But with the way we're playing at the moment, because we haven't been playing well, I'm not confident about that at all. And it's just really dispiriting because I was so excited coming into this season. I didn't think we'd win the league, but I thought we'd at least, compete, maybe make a bit of a title challenge, and that looks completely way off. And it looks like it's going to be another top 4 battle this year, which shouldn't have been the case. That shouldn't have been what we've been aiming for. We should have been hoping for better. And looking at the other teams around us, I still think that we probably will finish top 4, but it's not going to be the season that we hope for in terms of maybe getting 80 points, maybe like pushing Arsenal and Liverpool close and City as well. It's probably going to be around the 70-point mark and sweating on the last day of the season as to whether we're getting top 4, which just isn't good enough at this stage. It isn't good enough after the money we spent, isn't good enough after the journey we've been on, and that is just extremely disappointing. And look, last week I was saying about that Lincoln game before the Brentford game that obviously you never want to lose, especially to a lower league team in the League Cup. But I was thinking if you take care of business against Brentford, United, Bayern Munich, we need to focus primarily on the Premier League and the Champions League. For me, I think the League Cup, once you get to the semi-finals, you can start taking it seriously. But I think before then, the Premier League and the Champions League are the competitions you really need to hone in on. And if we'd went out, I wouldn't have been, disgusted, or I wouldn't have been, really sort of panicked by that. As long as we're taking care of business, a little bit okay, not okay, but a little bit okay with it. But all of a sudden now that Lincoln game's massive, because if we now lose to Lincoln after dropping points at the last minute to Brentford, after losing to Bayern Munich, after losing to a terrible Man United team, then it almost feels like we're in crisis territory. And maybe that's premature, maybe that's reactionary, but it would definitely feel like that. So yeah, that Lincoln game is far bigger than I think it needed to be, and that it should have been. But yeah, just really disconsolate after yesterday. I was very angry after the game. My anger has dissipated slightly. I'm more just depressed, to be honest, because it's one of those ones where you don't want to watch any more football for the weekend. You don't want to listen to any podcasts. You don't want to go on Twitter to read about it. You want to kind of wallow. The Lincoln game on Tuesday, that will take care of itself. But then it's on to Brighton, and we need to put in a performance and get a good 3 points, and that will be a tricky game. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's my thoughts on the game. Crap from Sanchez, crap from Maresca, crap from most of the team, crap from the sporting directors. But again, I can't be bothered to go into them today. Just really, really disconsolate after that performance. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you very, very soon.